This is a full review of the Mercedes GLE in another engine version today, which you wanted to see, and we're taking on a full tour, exterior, interior and the driving experience here on Autogefuehl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars with Thomas. And we'll also tell you more about differences, BMW X5, Audi Q7, Q8 and so on to this one here, the Mercedes GLE, and also compare different engine versions we've driven before and tell you which one you should actually go for. So now, tune in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. The thing where you recognize the new GLE most are those new daytime running lights there, and they offer a very nice modern signature. Standardly, the main headlamp unit also comes with LED, an option and this multi-beam LED also for more high beam function. Color here for today, Kevin side blue, this dark blue. I really prefer stronger blues, but this one is also a pretty elegant color, definitely then also with those chrome contrast here and so on. This one also, the normal layout, the base layout as it looks like in the front. The AMG line then would look a little bit sportier, for example, if you prefer that. 4.92 meters, 16'1" or 194 inches is the length, 10 centimeters longer than before or 8 centimeters increase in wheelbase. Let's see how that one plays out for the rear compartment. And 18 to 22 inch wheels are available. Those ones here are 21 inch, so that's actually a nice compromise still. Maybe 20 inch would be an even better compromise between comfort and the look. Here we get a rather conservative exterior, rather a lot of round shapes right there, and still high windows, and I like that for the interior passengers because then you can still see what's going on outside if you're sitting on the inside. So a lot of those new SUVs are rather just trimmed on the design. And here towards the rear, this is quite significant for the GLE. This C-pillar that also pretty much leans forward. This has been the characteristic or iconic shape of the GLE so far and has also remained the very same in this generation. And here we got all of those crossover wheel arches. I think they do fit to the SUV. In an AMG line you can also get them in vehicle color. And yeah, the car is not very clean. That's the thing about this season. I just cleaned it before driving and then it's overall a little bit dirty again. But so you can also see how it looks like in a soft off-road situation, so to say. In the rear you can see in this new generation those modern tail lamps right there with the LED signature, 4MATIC for the all-wheel drive. This is still a classic all-wheel drive with a rear-wheel bias. But not classic are those fake exhaust tips. They are pure fake indeed. The real exhaust is not even inside there, it's underneath. And yeah, that's the thing with automotive design. Chrome contrast fits very well to the blue color, that's for sure. And technology-wise they do not offer rear access steering unlike some of the other competitors. But they do offer this e-active body control, a very special suspension. We have tested it before, but it's only an option. Usually you start with a normal steel suspension, then optional air suspension, and based on that, then the e-active body control where each single individual wheel can also be controlled and the car can lean inside the corner. Yeah, but it's also, of course, some technology play as well. Again, also with even more costs. As for engines, there's the GLE 350, 4-cylinder petrol engine, 300 horsepower here or 255 in the US. And the 450, that's in the 6-cylinder, 3-liter with 367 horsepower or 435 in the AMG 53. And then on the diesel side, 4-cylinder diesel, the 300D with 245 horsepower. There's a 6-cylinder, 3-liter diesel with, here in this case then, the 350D with 272 horsepower, or there's the 400D with 330 horsepower. So, and then PHEV, also a diesel PHEV available now. We showed that you recently, and there will also be the petrol PHEV. Taking a look at this interior, very beautifully done here with the seat controls inside of the doors, optional Mercedes sound system, great sound, and those matte wood inlets really look classic and feel classic as well. Great build quality, that's also a major difference to the predecessor, so step up the game there. Big door pocket, then illuminated entry badge right there, and today with the brown interior. And actually a lot of choices, soon more to that. Here you can see this dual 12.3-inch screen setup right there, and again some matte wood inlets. As for the seats, Mercedes offers a great choice of sustainable and animal-friendly seats. So in Europe, for example, you get an fabric seat, so fabric in the middle and leatherette Artico on the outside. And then also Europe and US, you can get Dynamica microfiber on the inside and leatherette on the outside, so especially for the AMG lines. And what's also available worldwide is a full Artico seat, and that is then either in black, brown or beige. So almost like this, but in this case this is the optional animal skin pack. How do you see it? Here, those segments here, there are more segments in the animal skin seat. The Artico seat has less segments in there. There is just a visual thing where you can realize what you actually have. And one of my favorite features is the ambient lighting, which already starts right here at those central grab handles. Really cool. Getting inside is so easy here because you have this upright seating position. That's, you know, what you buy an SUV for, and is super comfortable in those seats. Also for tall people, 1.86 m or 6'1". Still plenty of headroom, even if you have the optional panoramic roof, which is not built into this very car today, then you still have enough headroom left. Steering control here in an electric way, in all four ways, so you find a cozy position right there, and you can just relax. Again, the seat control here with the electric sides right there, also cooling and heating is available here. But if you have a fabric or an Alcantara surface, then you don't need so much of the heating and cooling. This will have a better climate comfort overall. So, and of course, this is definitely an interior with a wow effect. This rather sensual interior design. That's what you also have special with the GLE. Taking a look at the interior, here again with this dual screen setup, that's pretty amazing, pretty cool. And yeah, sometimes the steering wheel is indeed blocking some of the left instrument cluster, so it depends on, you know, the angle you have set it to. So very sensual interior. If that's too much with the air vents here, that's, I think, a matter of taste. Here again with the nice ambient light, and when you put it warmer here with the climate unit, you can see it's getting red right there. When you put it colder, it's blue. That's also a great feature. And of course, you can also tune the base color of this one here, so you don't have to set it to blue. Obviously, I have always set it to blue or purple because that's what I like. And again, the matte wood here, that fits to the car very well. Also here with the low cover. Again, the climate unit is still separate here. I like to have that. And the voice input is pretty cool. You can always go with, "Hey Mercedes." "Hey Mercedes."
How may I help you?
"Please drive me to Berlin."
I am starting route guidance to Berlin.
So that works, for example, for GPS input, also setting the temperature, and also one more feature, for example, I will show you in the driving part very soon. That will also pretty exciting. Zoom more detail to that screen and also to the left screen. Steering wheel, here you can control the screens either with your thumb on the right there. You can also use it here with a touch screen or then with the central knob. So redundant controls, you can do it in the, and again, the voice input. Left side here for the left instruments. So you can all get back with the space menu. Then the adaptive cruise control is here on the left side and here on the right side again for the volume. So everything works pretty well. And wow, I mean, this entertainment system, the Mercedes sound, wow, is so great. Such a great surround sound. Love that. Yeah, let's have some party, man. So that's pretty cool. And last but not least, the lower area, again, matte wood cover, this touchpad, driving mode selector, and here for the air suspension you can go lower or upper, and then this one you can slide open, and there you have the cup holders which can be heated or cooled, as well as your smartphone connection here with the USB connection. No wireless support for that yet, and an inductive charging pad, but again it's pretty useless when you have to put in the cable anyway for the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, I think. And then we have a middle armrest. You can slide open like this, middle split, and then there's another USB-C charging port in there and some more space. So now more details right there. Go back to the main menu. Let's take a look at how the GPS looks like. It's quite responsive, also nice resolution and so on. So I think they also did a good job there. Go back to the main menu, but also can use the thumb, for example, while driving. That's cool. In the comfort, you, for example, also have a relaxing massage, for example, together with the seat heating. That's again just an option. You have to pay for that extra. And the ambient lighting I've been talking of, brightness, I also put it up on full level, and then you can here pick the different colors and so on. So they have a lot of fancy features. And talking about the Apple CarPlay, that's the integration, how it looks like here. Not for the full screen, but I think it's also still quite okay. Android Auto also working, and with the cable, and then you can go back to the Mercedes menu.
How may I help?
Yeah, when you mention Mercedes, then the voice activation also gets active, of course. Oh yes, and the rear view camera, great resolution, then the helping lines adapt, and you also have this drone view from above, so that's very helpful. And then the normal instruments like this, you can also have different views right there. For example, here with the styles, then you can go, for example, for a sporty gauge, so they're quite flexible with what you do with that. Actually, I rather stick with the classic view, and like this, or progressive is also possible. That also looks quite fancy like this, but I rather like the view we had there initially. So because the classic view rather gives you the best overview, I think. And then you can also have, for example, GPS information in the middle part, at the moment just the direction, but then again you also have the head-up display. At least if you go for that option, and it's really very large. It's even larger than it appears here on camera, I can tell you, but delivers some great information on current speed, allowed speed, and also GPS input. Well, it's bright and therefore also fits to the interior, but yet again, I would like a frameless back mirror right there, because that one does not resonate the rest of the great build quality. And I also have to agree to Brian what he recently said about the gear shifting lever here at the steering wheel. Does also not resonate the rest of the great build quality. So some parts where, for a GLE you expect a little bit more. And as for the rear passengers, also with this nice wood inlet here, always feels, and you can hear that it's feeling nice, and wow, this is pretty amazing here. So I would say Mercedes in this case here in the premium segment leader as for legroom, now with increased wheelbase in this new generation, even better. But why is that? Well, the rear bench here is quite short and it's falling backwards, so to me that's not good for long-term comfort, but it ensures more legroom and also plenty of headroom too. So yeah, that's I think a trade-off. Isofix at the outside of the seats each, and you also have a middle armrest and with cup holders. They are also adaptive. And you can also get a rear climate unit, that's an option for zone AC then. So you open the hatch with the key either here behind the logo, or then there's also this foot kick opening mechanism. So I just kicked the foot here right under the car, and then we go. It's actually quite cool. At the moment I have removed the top cover rear. There I have a good view. It's about 1 meter in length, 1 meter 10 actually in width, and the top height here is 80 centimeters. That's quite cool. So very flexible. You can also see how the trolley is right in there, and underneath you have some more storage, and for example you can also put right there the top cover in there. That's a good storage for the top cover, that you can also have a very clean trunk. Well, you cannot flip the seats from, well, actually, here this 12-volt power supply, no flipping, and so you have to go like this when the top cover is removed, or you could just go around and then you can also fold them all flat, or just the middle one for the ski hatch. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge, and yeah, this diesel here has quite some torque, definitely. The 3-liter 6-cylinder, and it's really quite fast, and the power difference is not significant to the 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine, but it does feel somehow different, yes, definitely. So sound is also quite good for diesel actually. It feels very refined and pretty elaborated, definitely. But still, from the get-go, from the low RPM areas, those petrol engines are still more fun to drive, no doubt about that. When you're on the motorway then later and you have some acceleration when you're already at speed, then the diesel plays out all the torque it has. That's definitely a big advantage. So, and fuel economy wise, yeah, something between 7 and 9 liters per 100 kilometers. At the moment, rather towards 10. Wow, that's quite a lot, definitely. And, that's, rather less, or like 30 mpg or less mpg US, and best would be 36 mpg UK, or even rather 30 mpg UK when you go into those higher consumption areas. So I was actually a bit surprised. We've been testing the petrol engines here, and we've also been testing the diesel PHEV, and now the diesel here. Wow, that should be more economical, and I think the reason for that is that with those new emission laws and more stuff they have to put in the diesels to even that out, more filters, probably they are not as efficient anymore. That would be my assumption. But that, to the engine, there's so much more to cover here in this driving part for the GLE. And that is, of course, this tranquility in the ride. We have the air suspension equipped right here, but without the e-active body control, which we have been testing the last times, quite often in the GLE and also in the GLS. And I can easily live without that, On the countryside, it's really interesting how the car can lean inside the corner in this e-active body control mode. Other than that, this one is rather a car where you enjoy the normal air suspension. It just goes on this smooth carpet-alike drive. This is really cool. And also in this segment here, the GLE is the car that mostly stands for this soft air suspension ride. In the BMW X5, for example, which I also really love to drive, the air suspension is, to me, a little bit too stiff. So at some point I would maybe even just go with the normal adaptive suspension in the X5. Here you can also go with the normal suspension, of course, if you want to save some money. It will still do fine. But if you like this soft air suspension ride, that's here where you still get it. So definitely suspension, very comfortable. The steering is also just set on comfort, and really just set on comfort. That's, for example, what I prefer more in the Audi Q8, Q7, or in the BMW X5. That here in the low angle areas right there, it's quite dead, so it doesn't give you a good feeling. It's more set, on the running straight than, to the sides. A little bit better, definitely, but in this low degree angles there, yeah, that's not the best. So it doesn't give me the best feeling. However, cruise control, it's really flawlessly done. Then you can enjoy running straight. So I set it here left side of the steering wheel. That's also a very easy way to control the adaptive cruise control. And the distance to the car in front of me is being kept. And I have everything in the line of sight here for the head-up display. And what's really cool, the first time I was driving this very test vehicle, the head-up display was not activated. And instead of searching the menu, I just said, "Hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
activate head-up display.
What can I do for you?
Activate head-up display."
I'm switching on the head-up display.
So, of course, she still says that. No, it was already on, so that's okay. But the first time it was off, and then she said, I'm switching it on, and then it was on. So I didn't have to spend my time searching for the head-up display, somewhere deep in the menu. And that's pretty cool. That's also another example of how you can very well use this voice input. And to me, meanwhile, the voice input that Mercedes and BMW are offering. But BMW, Mercedes, now it hops on again. Cancel, it's okay. It's okay, everything's fine. Cancel. But you can also cancel it here at the steering wheel. So Mercedes, this brand and BMW, they are offering the best voice activation systems at the moment. And BMW, however, just in this 7.0 system, not in the 6.0 system. So you have to be aware of that. You can also do something with the 6.0 system there, but the 7 is the one way to go. And the newest cars, iterations, definitely have that. Here with the driving modes, they also changed something with the air suspension. Even in the sports mode, it still is soft to drive, but even more so in the comfort mode. The sports mode turns up the RPMs a little bit more, comfort then a little bit more drawn back. And it is such a relaxing ride right here. Also the seating position, high upright, you have a great overview still. So that is one of the cars which are delivering you most comfort, and also just long road trips are just a pleasure in this vehicle. That's probably one of the coolest things. Noise insulation is on a super high level, so it is absolutely silent in this vehicle. And it will also be the same at higher speeds, and we'll soon also head out to the motorway where you will also feel that. So that's really cool. And at the same time, you know, it's not leaning inside the corners too much, although they do not offer an anti-roll control here for the base models. Just for the AMG models, that is where they do offer the anti-tilt control or anti-roll control, but you actually do not need it here. What I'm quite missing, if you compare it to other segment competitors, is the rear axle steering. That could be quite helpful to reduce the turning circle, to make it a little bit more agile. That's, for example, better in the Audis or in the BMWs. Do not offer it here. One reason was that they offer this elaborate e-active body control to, you know, have something right there. And also Mercedes quite often just works with the front axle, which is turning the tire just a little bit also like this, and therefore reducing turning circles. So talked to the engineers about that, and they said, yeah, you know, Thomas, we didn't really need that here, so we decided against it. We rather want to offer this very elaborate suspension choice. So that was their decision then here for this very vehicle. But still, you know, it's fun to drive. It's definitely rather the comfort king in this segment rather than the driving fun king. And to me, for example, the Audi Q8 and the BMW X5, those are the ones that are most fun to drive at the moment. Yeah, of course, the Porsche Cayenne is also very sporty, definitely, but that can also get a little bit rough at times, depending on the trim you also have. I think the X5 has a good balance there still. And this one is definitely set on comfort. But I have to say, when I go for a car like this, probably comfort is the one I seek most. Yeah. The head-up display, by the way, is really very, very large. So maybe I think, is it maybe too large? I don't know. So that you get annoyed by it a little bit. I also searched for some adjustment to make it smaller, but I didn't find any of that. But it's also clear to read, so definitely also cool. And you won't miss your speed on that one. That's definitely clear. So let's go to the sports mode again. We go on the motorway and show you some more of that diesel acceleration in this case then. And when it goes straight, we do 50 kilometers to 100 kilometers. So yeah, about 30 to 60 miles now. Let's go. And that's it. So really strong performance here, definitely, and very refined from this engine. Pretty cool. And when I'm just running straight, I'd rather go to the comfort mode again to enjoy the air suspension ride. And here, I mean, 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour. I mean, do you hear anything even on camera? It's like when the sound installation is like we're not moving at all. So silent is, and we're in the big SUV, you know, we're standing against the wind, and still it's that silent. So that's also something which Mercedes in this class does best. Also with the Mercedes E-Class, one of the most silent cars overall on the whole car market, if not the most silent ones. If you pick those optional insulation package, you know, there's the base insulation is good, and then you can add this, you know, special insulation to make it even more special or even more silent. Also, when doing the lane changes, you know, the car is very calm and collected, so it's just one of the most flawless motorway vehicles overall, and together with upright seating position, to me one of the best travel cars there is on the market, definitely. And it's not a small car, but still, because it's quite easy to handle and the steering is light, it doesn't feel that big, so that's also something to note, definitely. Now riding against the sun here. It's still quite cold here in Germany today, but we have a sunny day. That's also good for reviewing then. So now we head off the motorway because I wanted to show you some more agility features, and this is just, you know, flawless ride. Definitely. Blind spot monitor is also equipped with this car. It would be flashing in the side mirrors then. You can also set it back again to the sports mode, that we don't lean too much to the sides. The suspension then is a little bit stiffer. Now in this roundabout, so go in here. See here, I have to turn the steering wheel quite a lot. That I like better with especially with the Audi cars, so you don't have to turn that much, but the car doesn't lean too much. It's not exactly, I would say, it's super much fun to drive it in a fast way, but no, it's still quite decent, but comfort is definitely the emphasis of this vehicle. So steering is not progressive at all. Again, that's better with the BMW and also with the Audi. Here a little bit similar, like with the Volvo maybe feels even more artificial. So this one here does feel somewhat natural, but you have to turn quite a lot, and that's always maybe it's also a matter of preference, what you like best. We can just tell you how we're feeling that, and then you can decide on your own what is actually your real choice. Brakes, by the way, so very good feeling in the brakes, and again here also the car doesn't feel too heavy. 21-inch wheels mounted on this car here, and considering we have 21-inch wheels mounted, I do not feel that much. So quite often we have large wheels mounted, say like, yeah, that's pretty stiff as for the ride comfort. You should rather go with smaller ones. 21-inch really works here, although if you seek a little bit more comfort even, then the smaller ones are of course still better. And I mean, 20-inch here for this car could be a good compromise still between having like great visual, but still some decent comfort. But I'm not a fan of this trend of like bigger wheels. Again, losing comfort, then you scratch them easier, and you have to, I really have to pay attention here. And if you have just smaller wheels, then you may be also a little bit less stressed in your everyday driving life, that you don't damage them all the time also. So, again, I can set the cruise control, I have everything in the line of sight, don't even have to look at the instruments down here. So that's really well done. Oh yeah, that was close. We better stop, because especially when we're reviewing, we don't want to meet the police and they're telling us that, that was an old G-Class, interesting. So we always try to, obey the traffic laws. That's especially important while doing the reviews. Definitely. Yeah, but this is really one of the rare cars where at the end of the ride you get out of the car and you are really more relaxed than you entered the car. And that's pretty rare, and that's what I really like about this. We also had this comparison episode where I also told you something more about the differences between those full-size SUV competitors. And yeah, the GLE is also one of my favorites here, especially because we have so many great seating and animal-free, sustainable seating choices. That's what they've really been taking care of, and this focus on comfort. That's what I really like about the car, together now with the voice input, and it makes life so easier also when you want to enter a destination and so on. So meanwhile, I really have to think about, this voice is really very cool. You could argue, when you're using Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, then you're using the voice input over that system anyway when trying to call people, definitely. And of course, when you're using the GPS from the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, then you could say, maybe it's not a real argument for me to go for the most elaborate voice input system in the car, because I have it in my smartphone anyway. That's really, that's a very good thought. So we see more and more cars also on the market which do not focus on the infotainment system from the car, but rather say, we also have a smaller screen that even doesn't feature GPS at all. It's just there to mirror your smartphone. I think that can be a quite clever decision, because the smartphone software is usually better than anything we find on the cars nowadays, because they always lag behind those developments. So really tough thing to do for the manufacturers, definitely. The GLE still has, those rather conservative exterior angles, and that's also what's making the overview that nice in here. So I really see what's going on behind me, next to me, and it still feels quite large, not that cramped, so you have an open feeling. The BMW X5, for example, which is more fun to drive than this one. As for the steering feeling, the engines, some of you spot, it's still a 30 here? I thought it's 50 kilometers an hour. I don't know. But then the X5 has a little bit more cramped in interior, you know, how it goes around you. And here is a little bit more open feeling, you know, and I like this open design feeling. That's also something pretty cool, definitely here. So, city driving, still okay. Yeah, rear extra steering would have been nice. Motorway, fantastic, one of the best cars right there. And also on the countryside, yeah, again, it's not the sportiest Focus that you can, for example, get with the AMG version of this car. Or if you go for the GLE Coupe. We also already have some videos about that and also gave you information of how is it different, because that's interesting. GLE Coupe has a shorter wheelbase than this one, whereas X5 and X6 at BMW, same wheelbase. Audi Q8, Audi Q7, also same wheelbase. So a little bit different here, and that's also a very interesting approach, definitely. Do Q7 and Q8 have same wheelbase? I think so. Can't say it for 100% because the length is different, but I think that's just the overhang of the Q. Is it? I really need to check it. Can't say at the moment, but I think so. Yeah, maybe you know, then comment. Well, there's an X6, but of course, previous generation, the all-new X6, recently in our review. So I can just say once more, I really enjoy this drive of the GLE, and just gonna say final thoughts on the diesel. Doesn't convince me fuel economy wise. The petrol engine was quite good in the fuel economy actually, and was still a little bit more fun to drive. So yeah, I mean the AMG versions of course are, you know, they have abundance of power. You don't need to have them as usual. So diesel PHEV we have already been testing. There will also be the petrol PHEV for the GLE, and that one then is probably then the engine to go, I think, at the moment. So also watch out. Maybe if you watch this video at a later stage, maybe we'll already have the GLE petrol PHEV review online. You can always search for that. If you need any car to search for, always type in the YouTube search Autogefuehl, our channel name, Mercedes GLE, and then you will find all the versions you seek, and of course also about the competitor products. So again, thank you so much, especially to all our fans who are watching those videos really from 0 to 100, so in full length as it's supposed to be. That really interesting.
What would you like to do?
Yeah, that's always, usually it wouldn't happen, you know, when probably you won't talk. Well, wait a minute. I was in the car when I was talking like to co-drivers, and I was saying, oh yeah, last time we drove the Mercedes blah blah blah, and then again the system went on again. So yeah, you have to be aware of that. Something is alive here.
And now to our conclusion for today with the Mercedes GLE, today here as a 350D. So we expected that the diesel was lower in the fuel consumption, so at the end of the day I have to say I'm not really sure what's really speaking for this diesel, because in the petrol engine, the 3-liter 6-cylinder, we had almost equal fuel consumption. So yeah, probably the 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine it is then for this car, or one of those new plug-in hybrid versions that can make sense. Maybe taxation-wise, of course, if you have the chance to recharge the car quite frequently, that could be then also a new clever choice. In general, this new GLE generation is pretty modern from the front, not too revolutionary if you compare it to the predecessor, but definitely high upgrade in the interior, so more refinement right there. Also a little bit more space, especially in the rear legroom area. One of the most refined voice input systems, that's really cool. And pick the normal air suspension, you'll be just fine with that. You do not necessarily need the e-active body control. This car here is about the riding comfort with the normal air suspension, and then it does just a very, very great job. That's also the thing I enjoy most with this car, together with the great noise insulation, the two best things about this vehicle. So this one here definitely set all on the comfort in this segment. I also told you more about the difference to the other cars in this segment in the driving part. So if you have missed that, then scroll back and watch the driving part in full length. So really interesting insights here today once again, and also tune into other engine versions and also to the competitor reviews. Hope you enjoyed this one here today. Please leave us your comments and see you next time.